Hello everyone, welcome back to the Sports Porch. My name is Jeffrey Anderson. Hope you all had a great New Year's, and today we are going to be looking at the final regular season games. Week 17 is upon us. Let's go ahead and get into some games and who I think is going to win. This week we're going to see a lot of games that are basically playoff games, and then we're also going to see some stinkers as well that both teams will probably not even be trying, or one team's going to be trying to tank. Pretty much opposite ends of the spectrum, basically, for this week. Let's go ahead and take a look at them. And the first matchup we have this week is between the Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There isn't much to talk about with this game. The Bucs are looking to try to keep up some momentum going into the playoffs, playing some decent football against a divisional opponent. Meanwhile, if the Falcons lose this game, they'll be solidifying their position in the draft as the 4th overall pick, so there isn't really very much motivation for the Falcons to win this game. Couple this with the fact that the Buccaneers are at home for this game. There is a crowd there in Tampa Bay. I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning this game by 10 points. Not much else to say about this one. Next up is the divisional matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. This game has a lot of implications going for it for the NFC East. The Cowboys, if they win this game with a Washington loss, they're into the playoffs as the champions. Same thing can be said for the Giants. I would give the Cowboys the advantage in this one. The Giants have lost their last 3 games, and let's face it, the Cowboys are simply the more talented team. Even though I think that Joe Judge is the better coach of the two, obviously, I think that Mike McCarthy is basically coaching for his job here this season. So I guess we'll see how this game goes. As of now, I have the Cowboys winning this game by a field goal. Next up then is the New York Jets going to play the New England Patriots. This game won't really mean much in the big picture of all the playoff races that are going on this weekend, but this is an interesting game to keep your eye on. The New York Jets have already secured the 2nd overall pick, as well as beating the Browns last week. It seems pretty obvious that their players are, at the very least, playing hard, somehow under Adam Gase, I'm not really sure. And the Patriots just got beat up by the Bills. They are out of playoff contention officially. Don't be surprised if the Jets keep this game close, but I would expect the Patriots to win this game, especially considering the fact that they are at home and that Bill Belichick is still the coach of the Patriots. So I'm going to give them the advantage in this game by a touchdown. The Minnesota Vikings will go to play the Detroit Lions next. This one I think is pretty easy to guess. It's the Vikings game to lose pretty much. Matt Stafford isn't even guaranteed to play in this game. The Lions really have nothing left to play for this season. They're kind of just treading in water at this point. And while the Vikings are out of playoff contention, I think that this game is important for them to still show that they're still fighting for their coach. They're still playing decent football. I think they're going to do just that, especially against this Lions team, which, I mean, honestly, they've looked like the worst team in the NFL over the past 5 weeks, I would say. Especially if Matt Stafford doesn't play in this game, the Lions are going to lose in a blowout fashion. But even if he does play, I'm going to give the Vikings this game by 10 points. Okay, we then get to one of the more interesting matchups of the week. This is one of my games of the week. We have the Pittsburgh Steelers going against the Cleveland Browns. Okay, let me stop you right there, Jeffrey. So after looking over everything, there's one crucial detail that he forgot to put into this game, and that is the fact that the Steelers will be without Ben Roethlisberger, Marquise Pouncey, TJ Watt, and Cam Hayward for this game, on top of all the injuries they already had. Without these guys playing, specifically Big Ben, the edge in this game has to go to the Browns, not the Steelers. Sorry about that, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the video. Fairly simple matchup then. Next up, Ravens will go to play the Cincinnati Bengals. Pretty simple game here. The Ravens need to win to get in, or they get in with Cleveland losing or Indianapolis losing. With the opponent they're playing, the Cincinnati Bengals are basically just trying to keep their draft stock low so they can have a chance at Penei Sewell. Don't be surprised if this game gets ugly. I have the Ravens winning this one by 14, giving them the playoff spot. I have this next game as another one of my games of the week. We have the Miami Dolphins going to play the Buffalo Bills. The Bills have already clinched their playoff spot. They're already the number 2 seed, I believe. They have all of that locked up. For the Dolphins, however, this is another win and in situation. They can win this game, or with a Baltimore loss, Cleveland loss, or Indianapolis losing. So basically, if Baltimore, Cleveland, or Indy loses, then they're in. However, like I said before, their easiest route to getting in is winning this game. It just so happens that the opponents that they're playing is one of the best teams in the NFL at the moment. Josh Allen has looked good. This offense is firing on all cylinders. They really came to play last week against the Patriots in what I feel is sort of a statement win about the AFC East as a division for the next coming years. It's how they played, and now seeing that Ryan Fitzpatrick is out for this game due to getting the virus, and that means that Tua Tagovailoa is going to have to step up in this game. He's not going to have Fitzpatrick to bail him out like what happened last week with the Dolphins. I don't think Tua is quite yet ready for the big moment. I think he's still got some issues as a playmaker, specifically as a passer, throwing into tight windows. Because of that, I'm going to give the Bills the edge in this game by a touchdown, kicking the Dolphins out of the playoffs. Potentially, unless any of those other teams lose. The Seahawks have a chance to clinch the top seed of the NFC as they go to play the San Francisco 49ers. If they win and the Saints and the Packers lose, they officially have the top seed in this NFC conference. Seattle looked really good last week against the Rams. Their defense really was the one who came to play. And with how much more of a talented team they are than the 49ers, and I think that Pete Carroll is a good enough coach to keep up with someone like Kyle Shanahan, although obviously Kyle Shanahan is one of the best coaches in the league with what he's been able to do with this 49ers team this year with all the injuries and the poor play from Jimmy G that they've had. For that, I'm going to give, however, the Seahawks the win in this game. I think they'll win it by 10 points or so. This next game has possibly the biggest implications out of all the matchups this week, given a game of the week status. The Cardinals will play the Rams in Los Angeles. The key to this is win and you're in for both of these teams. The only other avenue that the Rams would have is if the Bears were to lose to the Packers, which, let's be fair, they probably will, then they're going to be in. The Cardinals' only route to the playoffs at this point is a win here against the Rams. However, I don't think they're going to be getting that. Both Kyler Murray and Jared Goff are out for this game. Basically, we have to look at everything that's around them. And when you look at everything that's surrounding both of these quarterbacks, it's clear that the Rams are simply the better team. Sean McVay is a top 5 coach. They run the ball very well. That defense is very good. Meanwhile, the Cardinals have really struggled to find an identity this year and what they want to do. This has led to some very inconsistent play from them, and because of that inconsistent play, I do not have very much confidence in them or Cliff Kingsbury as a coach to win this game, especially without Kyler Murray, who has bailed them out at times this year. With that, I'm going to give the Rams a win here by a touchdown, giving them the playoff spot, and kicking the Cardinals out of the playoff run. The Colts are on life support with their playoff hopes. They get to play Jacksonville, however, this week, which I think will be a pretty easy win for them. Now, the more interesting storyline for them is how they get into the playoffs. So they need to win this game, and one of the following to happen. You need to have the Titans lose, the Ravens lose, Cleveland, the Browns, or the Dolphins lose. Any of those teams lose and the Colts winning, and they're in the playoffs. With them playing against the Jaguars this weekend, I think it's very easy to see them picking up a win. So I'm going to give it to them by 10 points. However, also don't be surprised if the Jaguars come to play in this game. They don't have anything to lose at this point, and I think they would feel good playing spoiler to a potential playoff team. The Titans will then go to play the Houston Texans. This is another game with some pretty big playoff implications, and I think the Titans have probably the easiest path to the playoffs. Simply put, the Titans win this game, and they're in the playoffs. They clinch the AFC South as well. However, if Baltimore, Indy, or Miami lose, that also gives them a way into the playoffs. Now, the Texans have been pretty bad this year. However, I think in this game, they're really going to be playing their hardest. We saw that interview from J.J. Watt last week where he went on about Week 17 and playing your hardest, and that I think is going to get some guys fired up on the team. However, you have to remember that Houston's not playing for their first round pick this year. They have already given that to Miami, and right now that is a top 3 pick in the draft, so they don't have anything to lose by trying to win this game, and I think that's what they're going to do. However, Tennessee is the better team, even if they didn't quite show it last week against the Packers. They're rough, they're physical, and the Texans, frankly, have one of the worst run defenses in the league, and trying to stop Derrick Henry is going to be a nightmare for them. They will win this game by 10 points, giving them the AFC South, as well as a playoff spot. This next game, the Broncos playing the Raiders, doesn't really have many implications. Both of these teams are out of the playoffs at this point. They're both basically playing for pride at this point. However, I think the edge has to go to the Raiders in this game. No matter how they blew that coverage last minute against the Dolphins, whatever happened in that game, they still made an amazing comeback, and I don't think the Broncos are nearly as good as that Dolphins team, especially on the defensive side. And to give Denver credit, they do have a decent team right now, even though they're still not quite at full strength with all the opt-outs and injuries and whatnot. However, it wouldn't hurt them to lose this game just to solidify their spot as a top 10 pick in the upcoming draft. That coupled with the Raiders' dynamic offense, I'm going to give them the win here by 7 points. The Chargers go to play the Chiefs next. It may surprise you to hear this, but I actually have the Chargers winning this game. The Chiefs have a bunch of players out. They're not playing Patrick Mahomes. They already have the AFC locked up at the number 1 seed. They really don't have any motivation to play well in this game. They don't have any reason to play well in this game. So if you're Andy Reid, why wouldn't you just hold your cards to your chest, let the Chargers win this game, or at the very least, just maybe do some trickery like they did with that weird Patrick Mahomes, I don't know even who was throwing that ball, that weird 4th and 1 trick play they had. Just run a bunch of that stuff all game, and you're sure to lose. But in all honesty, I think the Chargers are playing for pride here. Anthony Lynn is basically coaching for his job in this game. I think Justin Herbert's going to look to get one back on the Chiefs that he probably should have won earlier in the year. I'm going to give them the win here by a field goal just because we know how the Chargers can play, especially with Anthony Lynn as their head coach. Soldier Field will host the Packers going against the Bears. Basically, if the Packers win this game, they clinch the number 1 seed in the NFC. Meanwhile, the Bears could potentially get into the playoffs with either a win here or the Cardinals losing. Just because of how well Green Bay has been playing lately, they really put the pedal to the floor against the Titans, kind of showed the NFC that they mean business. And even with David Bakhtiari unfortunately being out for the year, I think that line is going to be fine with how good Elton Jenkins has been, especially switching around. He's kind of like their Swiss Army knife in a sense. And the Bears have Mitch Trubisky playing, which for the Packers is always a treat to watch. Because the Packers need to actually play hard in this game, I'm going to give them the win here by 10 points. I don't think that the Bears can keep up with them, frankly. The Saints will go to play the Panthers next. This is a pretty cut and dry game. The Saints win this game, and if the Bears somehow upset the Packers, then that gives them the top spot and a first round bye in the NFC. The Panthers don't have much to play for in this game. I think winning hurts them here more than it helps. The Panthers don't have much to play for in this game besides self-pride, and even then, the Saints are simply the better team. I think they'll pick up the win in this game by 10 points. Lastly, the Washington football team will go to play the Philadelphia Eagles. Simply put, Washington football team wins and they are in the playoffs. However, I don't think that's going to happen in this game. The status with Alex Smith is still up in the air. They cut Dwayne Haskins earlier this week, which, if we're being honest, could have seen it coming. As well, the Eagles have played really well with Jalen Hurts, even though their secondary is garbage, admittedly. I don't think the Washington offense, even with Alex Smith, is good enough to be able to capitalize on that secondary. Because of that, I have Washington losing this game by a touchdown, I would say, giving the Cowboys the NFC East and that playoff spot. So there you have it. Those are my predictions for Week 17. Really exciting week. Who do you have winning certain divisions, certain matchups? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like the video and subscribe so you don't miss another NFL upload. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one.